I smiled as I checked my watch. "Tonight is going to be perfect," I whispered. I carried the flowers in one hand and the small velvet box holding our anniversary necklace in the other. Emily had no idea I was coming early. I wanted to surprise her before our dinner reservation. I laughed to myself. 5 years, Ethan. You finally got everything you wanted. I parked outside her apartment and walked toward the building. My phone buzzed. Ryan called. "Hey, brother," I answered. "Where are you?" he asked. "I'm about to surprise Emily." A short silence followed. "Oh, that's nice," he finally said. "You sound strange." "Nah, long day. Have fun tonight." "You sure?" "Yeah. Talk later." The call ended. I frowned but shrugged it off. I climbed the stairs instead of waiting for the elevator. My heart felt light. Every step brought me closer to the woman I planned to spend my life with. When I reached her door, I noticed it wasn't fully closed. "Emily?" I called softly. No answer. Then I heard laughter. A man's laughter. Ryan's laughter. I froze. "No," I whispered. "That can't be him." Then Emily laughed too. I pushed the door open. "Emily?" The bedroom door stood half open. I stepped forward. The flowers slipped from my hand before I even realized it. Ryan looked at me first. Emily turned a second later. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. I stared at them. My chest felt empty. Ryan slowly stood. "Ethan." I finally found my voice. "What?" I swallowed hard. "What am I looking at?" Emily grabbed the blanket. "It isn't what you think." I laughed once. "It isn't." Ryan stepped closer. "Listen to me." "No." "Ethan, please." "No." Emily reached toward me. "I was going to tell you." "When?" She looked away. "I don't know." I shook my head. "So this wasn't one mistake?" "No." "How long?" Neither answered. I asked again. "How long?" Ryan sighed. "Several months." I felt my knees weaken. "Several months." Emily started crying. "I never wanted to hurt you." I looked at her. "You had months to stop." "I know." "You had months to tell me." "I know." "You had months to leave me." "I know." Ryan rubbed his face. "We didn't plan this." I stared at him. "You didn't plan it?" "No." "So you accidentally kept lying every day?" "Ethan." "You accidentally smiled at me." "I'm sorry." "You accidentally came to my birthday." "I'm sorry." "You accidentally called me your brother." Ryan lowered his head. "I deserve that." Emily whispered, "Please don't leave like this." I looked around the room. The pictures on her wall. The coffee mug I bought her. The sweater I left there last week. Every memory suddenly felt fake. I held up the necklace box. "I bought this today." Emily covered her mouth. "Ethan, I thought tonight would be special. It can still." "Stop." She fell silent. Ryan stepped forward again. "Hit me if you need to." I looked into his eyes. "You think that's enough?" "No." "You think one punch fixes this?" "No." "You stole 5 years of trust." He couldn't answer. Emily wiped her tears. "You were always working." I blinked. "What?" "You cared more about your job." I stared at her. "So this is my fault?" "I didn't say that." "You just did." "You were never around." "I was building our future." "I felt alone." "You could have talked to me." "I tried." "You chose him." She cried harder. Ryan quietly said, "I should have walked away." I laughed bitterly. "But you didn't." "No. You watched me trust you." "Yes." "You watched me call you family." "Yes." "You watched me plan this anniversary." His voice cracked. "Yes." I nodded slowly. "I understand now." Emily looked hopeful. "You do?" "Yes." "What does that mean?" "It means neither of you ever loved me enough to tell me the truth." She reached for my hand. I stepped back. "Don't. Ethan. Don't touch me." The room became silent. I bent down, picked up the flowers and placed them on the kitchen counter. "They're yours." Then I set the necklace beside them. "Keep that too." Ryan whispered, "I'm sorry." I looked at him one last time. I lost my girlfriend tonight. Then I looked at Emily. And I lost my best friend. Nobody stopped me as I walked toward the door. Nobody deserved another word. I got into my car, gripped the steering wheel, and finally let the tears fall. I'll never beg anyone to love me again, I whispered through broken breaths. As I drove into the darkness, I realized the man who had walked into that apartment believing in forever would never exist again. I barely slept after that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard Emily laughing and saw Ryan standing beside her. I kept asking myself the same question. How did I miss it? The silence inside my apartment became unbearable. My phone rang again. I ignored it. A minute later, someone knocked on my door. Ethan, Grace called. Open the door. I'm fine. No, you're not. I just want to be alone. You've wanted that for 3 days. I stayed quiet. She knocked again. If you don't open this door, I'm using my spare key. I sighed and unlocked it. Grace walked inside carrying grocery bags. You look terrible. I've had better weeks. She looked around my apartment. You haven't cleaned. No. You haven't eaten. I'm not hungry. She placed the bags on the kitchen counter. Sit. I'm not a child. No. But you're acting like someone who forgot how to survive. I sat without arguing. She handed me a sandwich. Eat. I can't. You can. I don't feel anything. She looked into my eyes. That's exactly why you need to eat. I took one bite. Then another. Grace smiled slightly. See? Your body still wants to live. My heart doesn't. She reached across the table. It will. I trusted both of them. I know. I keep thinking I could have stopped it. You couldn't. I should have noticed. You loved them. That's not an excuse. It's the reason. I lowered my head. I feel stupid. No. I ignored every warning. You believed the people you loved. I couldn't answer. After lunch, Grace picked up my phone. You've got hundreds of notifications. I don't care. You should. She opened a social media app. My stomach tightened. Emily had posted a smiling picture at a rooftop restaurant. Ryan stood beside her. The caption read, "Real happiness begins when you stop pretending." I stared at the screen. They're unbelievable. Grace kept scrolling. Then she stopped. Ethan. What now? You need to read this. Ryan had written a public post. I never wanted drama, but some people can't accept rejection. I hope everyone respects our privacy while certain individuals learn to move on. Comments filled the page. So Ethan was obsessed? I knew something was wrong with him. Emily deserves better. What a jealous ex. I felt my hands shaking. They think I'm the problem. Grace grabbed my wrist. Don't respond. They're lying. I know. Everyone believes them. Not everyone. It feels like everyone. She quietly locked my phone. You don't fight lies with emotional posts. So what do? You fight them with facts. What facts? The real ones. I laughed bitterly. They've already rewritten the story. Then we uncover the original. The next morning Grace drove me across town. Where are we going? To meet someone. Who? A man who finds answers. I don't need therapy. She smiled. Good. Because this isn't therapy. We stopped outside a small office. The sign simply read, Marcus Reed Investigations. I frowned. A private investigator? Yes. I don't need one. Grace opened the door. You won't know until you listen. Inside, a calm man looked up from his desk. You must be Ethan. I am. I'm Marcus Reed. He shook my hand firmly. Please sit. I remained standing. I don't know why I'm here. Marcus nodded. Then tell me what happened. I took a deep breath. For nearly an hour I explained everything. I talked about Emily. I talked about Ryan. I described the apartment, the lies, the excuses, the rumors. Marcus interrupted only once. Did either of them ever admit how long the affair lasted? Ryan said several months. Marcus wrote something down. What? Maybe. What does that mean? It means people who confess under pressure rarely tell the whole truth. A chill ran through me. You think it started earlier? I don't know. I need certainty. Marcus leaned back. Then he asked quietly, do you want the truth? Or do you want revenge? I frowned. Aren't they the same thing? No. Explain. Revenge without truth is emotional. And truth gives revenge direction. I stayed silent. He continued, if you only want revenge, you'll act too quickly. I almost did. If you want the truth, you'll know exactly who deserves your anger. I looked at the floor. I thought I already knew. You know about one night. He folded his hands. What if there were dozens? My chest tightened. What if they lied to more than just you? I swallowed hard. What if money is involved? I looked at Grace. She looked just as surprised. Marcus continued calmly. What if your friendship ended long before you opened that bedroom door? I felt my heartbeat quicken. So where do we start? At the beginning. The beginning? The first lie. And if I don't like what we find? Marcus met my eyes. You won't. I nodded slowly. I don't want blind revenge anymore. What do you want? I want every hidden truth. Marcus stood and offered his hand. Then we'll uncover every secret together. I shook it without hesitation. For the first time since my world collapsed, I stopped asking why my life had been destroyed. Instead, I asked a better question. What else have they stolen from me? I arrived at Marcus's office early. He looked up from his computer. You're punctual. I couldn't sleep. I expected that. He motioned toward the chair across from his desk. Sit down. I sat. Marcus slid a thick folder toward me. I've spent the last several days digging. My hands hesitated over the folder. Am I ready for this? No. Should I open it anyway? Yes. I opened the first page. There were screenshots of text messages. Ryan had written, he's working late again. Emily replied, *perfect. Come over. *. I swallowed hard. How old are these? Marcus answered quietly. 11 months. I kept turning pages. Hotel reservations. Restaurant receipts. Photos. Dates. Locations. Every page erased another excuse. They said several months. Marcus nodded. They lied. It was almost a year. Yes. I rubbed my forehead. I never had a chance. You had honesty. They chose deception. I looked at another message. Ryan had written, he still trusts me. Emily answered, that's what makes this easy. My chest tightened. They laughed at me. Marcus didn't interrupt. I kept reading. Then another document caught my attention. What is this? Financial records. I don't understand. You will. He pointed to highlighted transactions. Do you recognize the project names? I leaned closer. My eyes widened. Those are mine. Marcus nodded. The software concepts you discussed with Ryan. I never gave him permission. You didn't have to. What do you mean? You explained everything during your late-night planning sessions. I remembered every conversation, every coffee shop, every notebook, every excited phone call. I trusted him. He counted on that. Marcus opened another folder. Look here. There were presentation slides, investor meetings, development timelines, company proposals. I stared in disbelief. These are my ideas. They are. He changed the names. Only the names. My voice shook. He stole everything. Marcus met my eyes. Not everything. What do you mean? He couldn't steal your ability. I looked away. That doesn't make this hurt less. I know. My phone buzzed. Grace. I answered. How's it going? Worse than I imagined. I'm coming. You don't have to. I'm already outside. A minute later she walked in. She looked at the papers. Oh, Ethan. It wasn't just Emily. I know. It wasn't just cheating. I know. It was my future. She squeezed my shoulder. You'll build another one. Marcus cleared his throat. There's more. I laughed bitterly. Of course there is. He handed me printed emails. I read one slowly. Emily had written to Ryan. Asterisk, tell Ethan the product isn't ready. He'll listen to me. Asterisk. Another message followed. If he delays another few months, you'll launch first. I stopped breathing for a moment. No. Grace whispered. What happened? I handed her the pages. She read silently. They manipulated you. I nodded. I remember that conversation. Grace looked at me. What conversation? Emily told me my software wasn't polished enough. You believed her. I postponed the launch. Marcus folded his arms. 3 months later, Ryan announced an almost identical platform. I closed my eyes. She planned it. Yes. They both did. Yes. I clenched my fists. My entire company could have existed today. Marcus spoke calmly. It still can. I lost everything. You lost time. That's everything. No. He leaned forward. Time can be recovered. Trust can't. No. The office became quiet. Marcus finally broke the silence. I want you to meet someone. Who? An attorney. I can't afford one. You don't need to worry about that today. Half an hour later, a confident woman entered the office. Marcus stood. Ethan, this is Olivia Brooks. She smiled politely. It's nice to meet you. I wish it were under better circumstances. She sat across from me. Marcus handed her the evidence. She reviewed everything carefully. Finally, she looked at me. Did you create the original software? Yes. Do you still have your files? Every version. Emails? Yes. Timestamps? Yes. She smiled. Good. Why are you smiling? Because intellectual property theft is serious. Can I prove it? If your records match this evidence, absolutely. What happens then? She closed the folder. Ryan's company could collapse. I stared at her. Really? Really? For the first time, the law is on your side. Before I could answer, Marcus's phone rang. He listened quietly. Then he looked at me. Interesting. What? Someone wants to speak with you. A young woman entered nervously. I'm Victoria. I recognized her immediately. Emily's best friend. She nodded. I didn't know where else to go. Grace frowned. Why are you here? Victoria looked guilty. I overheard Emily yesterday. I leaned forward. What did she say? Victoria hesitated. She said once Ryan's company becomes successful, they're getting married. The room fell silent. I expected another wave of heartbreak. Instead, something unexpected happened. I felt nothing. No tears. No shaking. No begging. Only clarity. Olivia watched my expression. What are you thinking? I slowly closed every folder on the desk. I'm done mourning. Marcus nodded. And now? I looked at every face in the room before answering. Now I start planning. For the first time since I opened Emily's bedroom door, I no longer wanted answers to heal my broken heart. I wanted the truth to rebuild my future, expose every lie, and make sure the lives they built on stolen love and stolen dreams collapsed under the weight of their own choices. I stopped checking Emily's social media. I stopped reading Ryan's interviews. Instead, I focused on rebuilding myself. Grace noticed the change first. You look different. I feel different. What changed? I'm tired of bleeding for people who don't care. She smiled. That's progress. It doesn't feel like victory. It isn't. What is it? The first step. Every morning I followed the same routine. I exercised. I reviewed my software. I answered Olivia's emails. I met Marcus whenever he discovered something new. Little by little, my anger became discipline. One afternoon, Olivia called. I have good news. I could use some. We've confirmed your original development records. So they're protected? Yes. What about Ryan? He claimed the software was entirely his. I expected that. Olivia sighed. Unfortunately for him, investors don't like lies. I don't either. She laughed softly. I know. What happens next? I keep collecting evidence. And me? You keep living. After the call ended, Marcus arrived carrying another folder. I found more. What this time? Investor presentations. I opened the file. Ryan had proudly described himself as the sole creator. He really believed nobody would discover this. Marcus nodded. Success makes careless people confident. He lied to everyone. He lied repeatedly. Can they prove it? I can. I looked at him. Thank you. You'll thank me after we finish. That evening Grace cooked dinner. She placed a plate in front of me. You've been working non-stop. I finally have a reason. She sat across from me. I need you to remember something. What? This isn't about hatred. I know. Say it. My goal isn't hatred. What is it? Justice. She smiled proudly. I wanted to hear you say it. I almost forgot. Don't. I won't. A week later, I attended a technology conference. Grace insisted. You should go. I don't feel like networking. You aren't going for people. Then why? You're going to remember who you were before they broke your heart. I finally agreed. The conference hall buzzed with conversations. Booths filled every corner. Developers demonstrated new ideas. For the first time in months, I felt excited. Coordinator approached me. Mr. Walker? Yes. We had one cancellation. So, would you like 10 minutes to demonstrate your software? I blinked. Seriously. If you're ready. I looked at my laptop. I've been ready for years. Minutes later, I stood on stage. My name is Ethan Walker. The audience looked toward me. I built this platform to help small businesses organize projects faster. I demonstrated every feature. Questions came quickly. How secure is the system? It uses layered encryption. Can it expand? Without replacing existing data. What inspired it? I smiled. Long nights and too much coffee. Laughter filled the room. When the presentation ended, people applauded. As I packed my laptop, a tall man approached. Impressive. Thank you. I'm Daniel Foster. I recognized the name immediately. You own Foster Technologies. I do. He extended his hand. I'd like to buy your software. I smiled politely. I'm not selling. His eyebrows lifted. Good answer. I laughed. Most people would have negotiated. I'm not most people. No. He studied me carefully. What are you looking for? I thought about the question. A chance. To become rich? No. Then what? To build something that's truly mine. Daniel nodded slowly. I respect that. He handed me a business card. Come see me tomorrow. Why? I have another offer. The next afternoon, I visited his office. He welcomed me personally. Coffee? Please. He waited until we sat down. I researched you. My stomach tightened. You found the rumors? I found the facts. I looked at him carefully. What facts? Your coding history. My previous projects. Your patents. My abandoned company. Your reputation before the scandal. I stayed silent. Daniel leaned forward. I don't believe gossip. You don't. I believe evidence. Relief washed over me. I appreciate that. He smiled. I also watched your presentation. You already saw it. I watched how you answered people. I'm not following. You weren't trying to impress anyone. I was explaining my work. Exactly. He folded his hands. I need someone like that. For what? To lead one of my development teams. I stared at him. You're offering me a leadership position? I am. You barely know me. I know enough. What makes you so certain? He answered without hesitation. Broken people usually hide. I looked away. You didn't. I almost did. But you stood on that stage anyway. I felt emotion rising inside me. I needed that. No. He smiled. You earned it. I accepted the business card with both hands. When do I start? Monday. I laughed for the first time in months. I'll be there. As I left the building, my phone buzzed. Ryan had posted another photo celebrating another investment. Emily stood beside him, smiling proudly. I looked at the screen for only a second before locking it. Their success no longer controlled my emotions. I had something far more valuable waiting for me. Someone finally saw my talent instead of my heartbreak. Someone believed my future mattered more than my past. I started my car with a quiet smile. The man who walked into Emily's apartment had lost everything that night. The man driving away from Daniel's office had finally found something worth fighting for again. This time, I wasn't rebuilding to prove Ryan and Emily wrong. I was rebuilding because I finally believed I deserved the life they tried to steal from me. Months passed faster than I expected. Every morning, I walked into Foster Technologies with purpose instead of regret. Daniel greeted me outside the conference room one Monday. "How's the new project?" "It's ahead of schedule." "I knew it would be." "You sound very confident." "I hired the right person." His words still surprised me. "Thank you. You've earned every compliment." Work became my therapy. Every completed project reminded me that Ryan had stolen ideas, not my ability to create. One afternoon, Daniel joined me in the testing lab. "Take a break. I've almost finished." "You've been saying that for 3 hours." I laughed. "Old habits." He leaned against the table. "Have you heard about Ryan's company?" "I've avoided the news." "Good. Why?" "Because anger steals focus." "I know." He looked directly at me. "Timing matters more than emotion." I keep reminding myself. "No." He smiled. "I'll remind you until this is over." I nodded. "I appreciate that." Later that afternoon, I met a project manager for the first time. She walked into the meeting carrying several folders. "Good afternoon." Daniel smiled. "Ethan, this is Sophia Bennett." I stood. "It's nice to meet you." She shook my hand. "I've heard good things about your work." "I hope they're true." She laughed. "We'll find out." Daniel left us to discuss the project. Sophia opened the documents. I organized the deadlines. "Thank you. If anything doesn't make sense, tell me." "I will." She pointed to the schedule. "I think we can finish 2 weeks early." I was thinking the same. Then we're already agreeing. The meeting ended with easy conversation instead of awkward silence. As we walked out, she smiled. "You work harder than everyone else." "I enjoy building things." "I can see that." She never asked about my past. She never mentioned rumors. She simply respected my work. Days turned into weeks. Sophia and I often stayed late finishing reports. One evening, she handed me a cup of coffee. "You looked exhausted." "You noticed." "You've been staring at the same screen for 10 minutes. I smiled. "Maybe I needed coffee. Or maybe you needed someone to notice." I looked at her. "Thank you." She shrugged. "It's just coffee. It means more than you know." She didn't ask why. Instead, she changed the subject. "Want to review tomorrow's presentation?" "I'd like that." Her kindness felt different. It expected nothing in return. One weekend, Grace visited my apartment. "You seem happier." "I think I am." "What changed?" "I finally stopped living in the past. And I met someone kind." Grace raised an eyebrow. "Someone special?" "I don't know." "What's her name?" "Sophia." Grace smiled knowingly. "Does she know everything?" "No." "Does she pressure you?" "Never." "Good." I looked at my sister. "Why does that matter?" "Because the right people wait until you're ready." I quietly nodded. The following week, Olivia invited me to her office. She closed the door behind me. "I have an update." "I'm listening." She placed several binders on the table. "We're finished." "Finished?" "The lawsuit is ready." I stared at the stack of evidence. "Everything." "Financial records." I nodded. "What else?" "Messages." I nodded again. "Investor presentations." "And development histories." I slowly exhaled. "That's enough." Olivia smiled confidently. "It's more than enough." I looked at every binder. They really documented every lie. Marcus did excellent work. "When do we file?" "Soon." "How soon?" "When the timing creates the greatest impact." Daniel's words echoed in my mind. Timing matters more than anger. I smiled slightly. I understand. Olivia noticed. You've changed. I have. Months ago you wanted revenge immediately. I wanted them to hurt. And now, I want justice to last. She nodded with approval. That's exactly why we're ready. That evening my phone buzzed repeatedly. News alerts filled the screen. Ryan's company had announced the biggest investment deal in its history. Reporters surrounded him. Cameras flashed. Emily stood beside him wearing an expensive dress. She smiled proudly while Ryan spoke into microphones. This investment proves our innovation is changing the future. I watched silently. Grace called. Did you see it? I did. Does it bother you? A little. Do you want to respond? No. Why not? Because tomorrow will come. She laughed softly. You're finally thinking ahead. I learned from the best. Before ending the call, another message arrived. It was from Daniel. Asterisk, don't let headlines fool you. Buildings standing on stolen foundations always collapse. Asterisk. I smiled. A minute later, Olivia sent another message. Asterisk, final documents signed. We file soon. Asterisk. I locked my phone and looked out my apartment window. Ryan believed he had reached the highest point of his life. Emily believed she had chosen the winning side. Neither of them knew every secret message, every stolen file, every false claim, and every hidden transaction had already been organized into evidence waiting inside Olivia's office. For months they had celebrated victories built on my pain. They never realized each celebration only made their coming fall much farther. This time I didn't feel jealous. I didn't feel broken. I simply waited. For the first time since everything fell apart, patience felt stronger than anger, and silence became the sharpest weapon I had ever carried. I arrived at Olivia's office before sunrise. She looked up from her desk. You're early. I couldn't wait. She smiled. Good. I sat across from her. Is today the day? Yes. She slid a folder toward me. Everything has been filed. I looked at the documents. So it's official. It is. What happens now? We let the truth speak. Marcus walked into the office carrying another briefcase. Morning. Morning, I answered. He placed the case on the table. Every investor on Ryan's list has already received copies. Already? Every one. Olivia nodded. The evidence includes your original files, timestamps, emails, deleted messages, financial records, and witness statements. I slowly exhaled. There's no hiding anymore. There never was, Marcus replied. My phone vibrated. Ryan's company had released another celebration post only an hour earlier. I looked at it once. Then another notification appeared. Breaking news. Fraud allegations filed against rising technology company. Within seconds, dozens more alerts followed. Grace called immediately. Are you watching? I am. It's happening. I know. How do you feel? I looked through the office window. I thought I'd feel excited. And I mostly feel calm. You've already won. Not yet. You stopped losing months ago. I smiled. Thanks, Grace. Call me tonight. I will. The call ended. Marcus refreshed a news website. It's spreading fast. Olivia leaned closer. Business reporters are picking it up. Another headline appeared. Investors question company's original technology claims. My heartbeat stayed steady. Months ago I would have panicked. Now I simply watched. My phone rang again. Emily. I stared at her name. Olivia asked quietly, Will you answer? Yes. I accepted the call. Ethan. Her voice shook. You have to stop this. I can't. You can withdraw everything. Why would I? Ryan made mistakes. We both know this isn't about mistakes. She cried softly. He manipulated me. I closed my eyes. No. What? I've read every message. Silence. I know you convinced me to delay my launch. She didn't answer. I know you helped him steal my ideas. Ethan. I know you planned everything together. I was confused. You were involved. I loved you. No. I did. You don't destroy someone you love. She sobbed harder. Please. What do you want from me? Make this disappear. I can't erase the truth. It'll ruin us. I spoke quietly. You already ruined yourselves. She whispered my name again. I ended the call. Olivia looked at me. You handled that well. I finally heard the difference between regret and responsibility. Marcus nodded. Most people regret consequences. They rarely regret choices. The office television suddenly switched to a live business report. Ryan stood outside his headquarters surrounded by reporters. One journalist shouted, "Did you steal your software?" Another asked, "Did investors receive forged information?" Ryan forced a smile. These accusations are false. Marcus muted the television. He won't smile for long. Another notification arrived. Several investors had suspended funding. 10 minutes later, another headline appeared. Senior employees resign following fraud investigation. I stared silently. Olivia checked another email. More resignations. Marcus looked at me. Your evidence is working. It isn't my evidence. What do you mean? It's the truth. Before anyone replied, another call appeared. Richard Carter. I frowned. Emily's father? Olivia nodded. Answer. I accepted. Mr. Carter? My name is Richard. All right. I owe you an apology. I stayed silent. I believed my daughter. I understand. I shouldn't have. His voice sounded heavy. I reviewed every document this morning. You've seen everything? Every message. And I won't defend either of them. His honesty surprised me. I appreciate that. I taught Emily better than this. I'm sorry. So am I. He paused. I'll make a public statement. You don't have to. I do. They're family. Truth comes before family. I respected those words. Thank you. I hope one day you find peace. I think I'm getting close. The call ended. Within an hour, Richard's statement appeared online. He confirmed he would not interfere with the investigation. He publicly condemned dishonesty, regardless of family ties. The internet reacted instantly. Support shifted. Comment sections changed. People who had mocked me now questioned Ryan instead. Another alert flashed. Authorities request financial records from Ryan's company. Marcus looked satisfied. Criminal investigators. Olivia closed her laptop. This is bigger than a civil lawsuit now. I looked around the room. Months of planning had led to this single day. Everything Ryan built started collapsing one headline at a time. Everything Emily protected disappeared beside him. I expected celebration. Instead, I felt strangely quiet. Grace called again. How are you? I thought revenge would feel sweeter. And it doesn't. What does it feel like? I smiled faintly. Like finally putting down a weight I carried for too long. She laughed softly. That's not revenge. I know. What is it? Relief. I looked outside as the evening sun settled behind the city skyline. For the first time since I opened Emily's apartment door, I realized karma didn't heal broken hearts by creating more pain. It healed them by returning the truth to the place where lies had lived the longest. 3 days after the lawsuit became public, my doorbell rang. I opened the door. Ryan stood alone. His suit was wrinkled. Dark circles surrounded his eyes. He looked nothing like the confident man who had smiled beside Emily. I won't stay long, he said quietly. I stepped aside. Come in. He entered without speaking. Neither of us sat immediately. Finally, I broke the silence. Why are you here? He lowered his head. To tell you the truth. I've heard enough lies. This one's different. I folded my arms. I'm listening. Ryan took a slow breath. I envied you. I know. No. He shook his head. You don't. What don't I know? I spent years pretending to be happy for you. I stayed silent. You were always the smarter one. I never compared us. I did. He looked ashamed. Every promotion you earned made me feel smaller. I never wanted that. I know. You were my best friend. I didn't deserve that title. No. He rubbed his face. When you showed me your software, I realized I'd never build something that good. You could have asked for help. I was too proud. So you stole it. Yes. You lied. Yes. You betrayed me. Yes. His voice cracked. I convinced myself it was the only way to surpass you. I looked directly into his eyes. And was it worth it? Tears filled them. No. He laughed bitterly. I lost everything. You lost what was never really yours. He nodded slowly. I know. I trusted you like family. I destroyed that. Yes. I'm sorry, Ethan. I answered honestly. I believe you're sorry. His shoulders relaxed slightly. But that doesn't change anything. No. He walked toward the door. I don't expect another chance. You shouldn't. Before leaving, he stopped. I hope one day you find peace. I already have. He nodded once and quietly walked away. An hour later, the doorbell rang again. I already knew who it was. Emily stood outside crying. Ethan, what do you want? Please let me explain. I hesitated. Then I opened the door. She stepped inside. I don't deserve your kindness. No. She wiped her eyes. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I remained silent. I confused excitement with real love. I looked at her calmly. Go on. Ryan made everything feel new. And I made everything feel ordinary. She cried harder. I didn't realize ordinary could be beautiful until I lost it. You realized too late. I know. She looked around my apartment. It feels strange being here. Everything feels different now. I miss us. There is no us. I still love you. I shook my head. No. What do you mean? You miss the man who loved you. She stared at me. That's different. It is. I never stopped caring. You stopped choosing me. She covered her face. I hate myself. I don't. She looked surprised. You don't. No. I thought you'd hate me forever. I tried. And I got tired. Silence filled the room. Finally she whispered, Can you forgive me? I thought carefully before answering. Maybe. Hope appeared in her eyes. Really? Yes. She smiled through tears. Does that mean? I interrupted gently. No. Her smile disappeared. I don't understand. Forgiveness and reconciliation aren't the same thing. She listened quietly. I may forgive you someday. Then why can't we start again? Because forgiveness gives me peace. I took a slow breath. Trust gives someone a place in my life. She lowered her head. I destroyed that. You did. I wish I could change it. You can't. She cried silently. I was selfish. Yes. I hurt the only man who truly loved me. Yes. I deserve this. I didn't answer. After several moments she stood. I'll never stop regretting what I did. I believe you. She walked toward the door. Before leaving, she looked back. I hope you're happy. For the first time in months, I answered without hesitation. I think I'm finally becoming happy. She smiled sadly. Goodbye, Ethan. Goodbye, Emily. The door closed softly behind her. A few minutes later Grace arrived carrying dinner. She looked at me. They both came. They did. How are you feeling? I thought about Ryan's tears. I thought about Emily's regret. Then I smiled faintly. I don't hate them anymore. Grace set the food on the table. What changed? They're already living with the worst punishment. What punishment? They have to remember the people they chose to become. Grace nodded proudly. And you? I looked around my peaceful apartment. I finally remembered the man I want to be. For the first time since my world collapsed, I realized their apologies were never the ending I had been waiting for. My real victory began the moment I stopped needing them to fix what only I could heal. A week after Ryan and Emily left my apartment, Daniel asked me to meet him in the executive conference room. When I walked inside, he smiled. Sit down, Ethan. I took the chair across from him. You sound serious. I am. He placed a folder in front of me. Open it. I read the first page. Then I looked up. You're promoting me? He He nodded. Effective immediately. I couldn't speak for a moment. This is real. It is. I'll be leading the international development project? Yes. I smiled. I don't know what to say. Say you'll accept. I laughed. I accept. He stood and shook my hand. I never doubted you. Thank you for believing in me. I didn't believe in your pain. He smiled. I believed in your talent. Those words stayed with me long after I left his office. Later that afternoon, Sophia found me carrying the folder. You look happier. I have good news. Tell me. I was promoted. Her face lit up. I knew it. You knew. I've watched you work. And you earned it. I smiled. Would you like to celebrate? She laughed. Are you asking me to dinner? I'm asking a friend. I'd like that. That evening we sat in a quiet restaurant. She raised her glass. To new beginnings. I raised mine. To honest people. She smiled. I like that better. We talked for hours. She asked about my favorite books, my childhood, my goals. She never asked about Emily. She never asked about Ryan. Finally I said, thank you. For what? For waiting. She looked confused. I don't understand. You never forced me to explain my past. She smiled gently. I figured you'd tell me when you were ready. I appreciate that. You don't owe anyone your story. I looked at her. Healthy trust feels different. It should. It grows quietly. She nodded. The strongest things usually do. A few days later, Grace visited my new office. She slowly looked around the room. This place suits you. I think so too. She hugged me tightly. I'm proud of you. For getting promoted? For choosing dignity. I smiled. I wanted revenge. I know. I wanted them to suffer. I know. But you never became cruel. I almost did. Grace squeezed my shoulder. You rebuilt your life instead. I had help. You accepted help. That's true. Before leaving, she smiled. Mom would be proud too. Her words warmed my heart. That afternoon, Marcus stopped by. He carried only one small envelope. No giant folders today? He laughed. No. He handed me the envelope. What's this? The investigation is officially closed. I looked inside. Every document had been marked complete. So this is really over. Marcus nodded. It is. I couldn't have done this without you. You did the hardest part. What was that? You stayed patient. I smiled. You taught me that. He walked toward the door. Before leaving, he turned back. Justice rarely arrives quickly. I waited. But it almost always arrives eventually. I nodded. I'll remember that. After everyone left, I stood alone inside my office. The evening sunlight filled the room. I looked at the projects waiting on my desk. I looked at the city outside my window. Months earlier, I thought losing Emily and Ryan had destroyed my future. Now I understood something far greater. My greatest revenge had never been watching their lives collapse. My greatest revenge was building a life so full of purpose that their betrayal no longer defined me. I smiled quietly. For the first time in years, I wasn't looking behind me. I was finally looking forward. I stood behind the stage curtain while someone announced my name. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's Innovation Award goes to Ethan Walker. The audience applauded. I walked onto the stage. The bright lights reminded me of another night. Not this stage. Emily's apartment. The flowers in my hand. The open bedroom door. The moment I believed my life had ended. I accepted the award from the presenter. Congratulations. Thank you. I stepped to the microphone. For a second, I simply looked across the room. Then I smiled. I used to believe success meant never losing anything. The room became quiet. I was wrong. I held the award carefully. I lost people I trusted. I paused. I lost dreams I thought could never be replaced. I took a slow breath. But I discovered something more valuable. I looked toward the front row. Grace smiled proudly. Sophia smiled beside her. I continued. I learned that betrayal doesn't destroy your future. It reveals who was never meant to share it. The audience applauded again. I also learned something about revenge. I smiled slightly. I thought revenge would heal me. I shook my head. It didn't. What healed me was rebuilding my life one honest choice at a time. I stepped away from the microphone. The applause grew louder. After the ceremony ended, Grace hugged me first. I'm so proud of you. Thank you. You earned this. I couldn't have done it alone. She smiled. You listened when people cared. I finally did. Sophia walked over holding 2 cups of coffee. I guessed you'd want this. I laughed. You know me well. I've been paying attention. I accepted the cup. Thanks. She looked at the award. How does it feel? I thought for a moment. It feels peaceful. Not exciting? Peace means more. She nodded. I understand. Grace glanced between us. I'll give you 2 a minute. She walked toward the exit with a smile. Sophia looked at me. Are you thinking about the past? A little. Does it still hurt? Sometimes. And today? I looked around the empty stage. Today it reminds me how far I've come. She smiled warmly. I like that answer. We slowly walked toward the parking lot. The evening air felt calm. I looked up at the sky. Months ago I believed my story had ended with betrayal. Now I knew it had only begun. Ryan and Emily had taken my trust. They never took my future. Marcus gave me the truth. Olivia gave me justice. Daniel gave me opportunity. Grace gave me strength. Sophia reminded me that trust should grow patiently, never through empty promises. I unlocked my car and looked at the award one last time. My greatest victory was never watching other people lose everything. My greatest victory was becoming someone who refused to let pain decide the rest of my life. I started the engine with a quiet smile. My story didn't end with hatred. It ended with peace, confidence, hope, and a future built entirely by my own hands. As I drove home, I realized the strongest version of me had been waiting on the other side of heartbreak all along, and finally, I had become the man I was always meant to be.